is Alan, and I'm back with a new video. So let's go further ahead and discuss a few verses that caught my attention, and I think they're beautiful. So let's go ahead. Jesus said to them, "Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Matthew chapter 21, verse 42. This is beautiful because cornerstone is something that holds two walls together. So if the cornerstone is not set properly, the whole building just falls apart. So, cornerstone can be related to the conscious here, because I see it all the time, every single day, that people just shush their conscious, because the conscious shows you vision which demands so much of effort from you, and it can be very intimidating because you might not hold yourself up to the standards of what the conscious shows you. But it is amazing that how can we even conceptualize something that hasn't happened yet. And it is very peculiar that we are capable of doing it, or at least the conscious is capable of doing it. So, maybe there's a possibility that what the conscious shows you can be brought to fruition, right? If you look at the movies of the past, they show technology which wasn't available at that time. For example, the iWatch, they had a similar tech in the Simpsons episode. So, and after a few years, it was invented by Apple. So, such events act as an evidence for the possibility that the visions shown to you by the conscious can be brought into fruition by effort and wisdom. Because you can't really conceptualize anything that can't be brought into fruition. So if you can see it, you can bring it to fruition. And that's the beautiful part. And people just shush the conscious because they don't want to put out that amount of energy, right? Because the default state of being is comfort. But if you deal with it, if you have enough reasons to get out of your comfort zone, then it's a step toward the paradise, right? And that brings about a lot of new things into your life. You are putting all the effort in your life to keep your life together and move towards the vision that was shown. Then he said to his servants, "The wedding feast is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find." Matthew chapter 22, verses 8 to 9. This is a very interesting verse. It's because, everything is ready. So what's happening is that there are a few people that you might meet, and you might presume them to have all the talents in the world, which puts them way above you. But there is an issue there, because if you are talented, it is very difficult to get away from the comfort zone, because you believe that even if you don't put in any real effort, you're gonna land where you want. But that's not the case. Usually it's the case with the story of the rabbit and the tortoise. So what does the rabbit do? The race starts, the rabbit starts running, and it takes naps in between, while the tortoise, it keeps on going on and on and on, and completely wins the race. So that is the case. So don't think that just because you're not talented doesn't mean that the finish line can't be achieved by you. So, or you're not gonna win. That's not the case. As long as, even if you're talented or not, the willpower to keep on going and to not give up is the only way to achieve whatever the goals that are set by you for yourself. So the hunger is what drives people, right? So for example, I just keep myself hungry till afternoon so that I can get my work done more quickly throughout the day. In that way, I can reward myself with food when I have actually done a chunk of my work done. So hunger is a fantastic motivation, and if you're hungry enough, there it is almost impossible to lose, talented or not. And to support that with another phrase, hard work always beats talent, and that is the case. I've seen that too many times in my life. So let's go ahead. They said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, therefore render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Matthew chapter 22 verse 21. Okay, so there are certain things that you need to give up to God. So there are sacrifices that are demanded of you, and it will be taken from you. So the sacrifices, the nature of sacrifices are mandatory in its foundation, because you have to give it voluntarily or involuntarily. Voluntarily is better. In the case of involuntary sacrifices, it will be taken from you, and when that happens, it's not necessarily a happy day for anyone. So better to give to God what is God's, and that has to happen. But there are too many cases in which people try to delay that sacrifice and end up giving up that sacrifice involuntarily, which leaves them more miserable than they started with. So it's not good. So it's better to give up the sacrifices voluntarily, even though you have to get away from the anxiety or the inertia in your heart. And it's better to do that on a day by day basis, so that you don't have to give up a chunk of whatever you love the dearest, which is holding you back, in one go. So it's easy and much better to give up the sacrifices to God whenever it is demanded of you, because it is mandatory in nature and it will happen whether you want it or not. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do, for they preach but do not practice. Matthew chapter 23 verse 3. This is a very interesting verse too, since we got talkers and we got actors, right? There are people who just keep on talking and people who take action. Usually the people who take action, this begin with talking, and when they have talked enough, there comes a day where they are mentally ready to take action, and then they take action. But usually some people, they just keep on talking, and what happens is that time passes by and they just keep on talking and talking and talking and talking, and that is pretty much useless. So what I personally do is I like to practice what I preach, in some sense, since people respect the real life examples. That's why when two businesses are working together, or let's say if you got a business, if you approach a business, the first thing that any smart person would ask for are testimonies. So what did the business do for other clients? And so based on that, you can make a decision if you should hire their services or not, right? So it is better to back your words with action. In that way you can garner respect, because you've got tangible results. You can show what you're all about. So it's just not talk. These are not just empty words, but they are actually backed by actions. Let's go ahead. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, and the outside also may be clean. Matthew chapter 23 verse 26. It's a beautiful verse, since what you enact in the, or how you enact in the external world, is the reflection of the internal configuration. What it means is that you act out your beliefs, and there are a few people, even if what they believe, they do not act out in the world, because they are, I don't know, they're so good at it. They don't really act out what they really believe in their heart, and sometimes it lands people in misery, and sometimes it's just a way of people to get what they need, right, from the world. But then again, there are times in life where you see the reality of who people are, when there comes a time in everyone's life where your character is truly put to test, and in that moment whatever decision you make tells a lot about you. Well, the fantastic thing about confronting such situations is that you can analyze it. If you are a smart person, you will analyze it of how you acted in that particular situation, and if it wasn't up to the standards or what you expected it would be, you could always reconfigure yourself. So that is the concept of extreme accountability, and that's a beautiful thing. And then as time passes on, you can just reconfigure yourself and build yourself, break yourself down and rebuild yourself again and again and again and again and again, until you become who you thought you really were. Guys, it's been absolutely a beautiful time to discuss these verses with you. These are really, really powerful verses, and I strive to articulate these verses in a better manner in the future. I wish you guys all the best.